Hello, BookTube. I've got a tiny bit of mail for you on an overcast Saturday. I I opened a bunch of mail off camera yesterday. Very sorry for that. And I was going to wait for more mail to accumulate today. Of course, Saturday is an odd day for mail. Different people are on the routes, different people behind the wheels of the trucks. So this stuff doesn't arrive at its usual schedules at all. I was going to wait for it to accumulate. Uh, and I might still. More might still come. I've only got one package, one box there. I thought we'd go over just a mail haul of one. But I was right here on the fainting couch, and the baby is right here behind me, and I have a feeling that we could both do with a stretch of the legs. So I figured while I'm here, we might as well open this box together. We've done many one book mail hauls before. Let's see what this is and what its prospects are for how it will be treated here at Hyde Cottage. So let's try to open this. How is this going to behave itself? I'm assuming if it's a box that it's a finished copy, although I am waiting for a big advanced copy. Oh no, okay. All right, no, this isn't a finished copy. This is something that I requested. Oh, how nice. How nice of the publicist. Okay, this is J.M. Miro, and we saw the first book in this series just this week. This is the one that started it. This is Ordinary Monsters in the trade paperback. So this has all of the blurbs that my original copy did not have. Con Eagledon, Tamora Pierce, Al Makatsu. Okay, that's your fellow fantasy writers, but what about critics? A fast-paced novel whose action and intrigue make short work of its daunting page count. That is from Kirkus Reviews. That's quite well written. But did the Post review this? Oh yes, okay. The blurb from the Post is Charles Dickens meets Joss Whedon in Miro's otherworldly Netflix binge-like novel. Not hard to guess who wrote that. So this, I want to read this before I read. I want to reread this before I read the sequel. I like this largely. So what do we got here? England, 1882. In Victorian London, two children with mysterious powers are hunted by a figure of darkness. What follows is a story of wonder and betrayal from the gaslit streets of London to the wooden theaters of Meiji-era Tokyo to an eerie estate outside Edinburgh where other children with gifts, the talents, have been gathered. There, the world of the dead and the world of the living threaten to collide, and as secrets within the Institute unfurl, Marlowe, Charlie, and the rest of the talents will discover the truth about their abilities and the nature of what is stalking them. That the worst monsters sometimes come bearing the sweetest gifts. And this is a perfect emblem of my professional life. I don't know. There's nothing I can really do with this book. This was sent as a courtesy. Because I want to reread it. I, of course, don't have my original copy. I guess that's the kind of assumption, the standing assumption in the professional book reviewing world, is that the reviewer doesn't still have a copy of every book they've ever got in the world. So in a case like this, if you send them the advanced copy of the second book in a series, they're within their rights to ask for the first book. They don't have to demand it, although I know a couple of critics who do. They don't ever phrase their emails to publicists as questions, only as demands. And I know a couple of people who don't even have the grace of being critics. They're just authors. They don't even review books, but they still demand them of their publisher. Hey, you're my publisher. I just saw this in your listing and I want a copy. Send it to me. What are you going to do for us? You're gonna pack up your $4.5 billion contract and go somewhere else? I don't think so. What if we say no? But it's the point being that it's the warehouse. It's a well-oiled machinery anyway of putting books in the right envelopes with the right addresses, and it's bulk franking. So it's not that much of a big deal for you to just send out books to pertinent people involved, to people who have an audience, people who can review it, people, an author like that who sees a book in your forthcoming list, maybe he blurbs it. Maybe he sends you a blurb that you can use. That would be, or maybe he doesn't send you a blurb for that book, but you kind of like him to blurb something you have coming in the next season, and you know that, so you want to be nice to him. Something like this, I'm not going to write about this book. This is just here as a courtesy for me to read, because I will probably write about the second book. I'll want to be up to date on it. But that's it. That's a wee bit disappointing. This is our only book for today, unless more mail comes in a usable time frame. I now have a second viable filming location. The filming location that I'm doing for my library tour, my endless library tour, that location, that setup is going to change every day. But I now have a second viable filming location. I tried it out yesterday. It's still in its early stages. It's still as rough as it could be. I can fix it. I can make it more comfortable. But I tried it out yesterday. Different location, different room, and different technology. Different recording technology. And I take it as the highest indication that there were no problems with those differences, in that no one mentioned them. No, I don't exhaustively study my older videos. I go through, I have a YouTube Studio will show me comments without necessarily taking me to the videos. So I never ignore the comments, but I seldom go back to the videos. But as far as I can tell, for today, 24 hours later, that video doesn't, those videos that I made yesterday in that new filming location don't have any comments to the effect of, this sounds bad, can barely hear you, lighting is poor, or anything like that. Which means I have a second viable filming location, which is fantastic. It doesn't seem like much to you, but it's a fantastic thing to me. Oh, what's the matter, baby? Oh, hi. So I'm always free to use that location later in the day. I'll be there in that location all afternoon and all early evening. Oh, goodness. I think it's time for us to stretch a leg. Otherwise, we will just lounge away the whole of the day, and we don't want to do that. It's too nice. It's overcast, but it's nice. So that's it. That's a one-book mail haul. Victorian X-Men. So well, I'm glad I have it. I will put it on the pile for this weekend. But it's nothing new. It's nothing exciting. And the only question that I would have in connection with it would be, how many of you have read this? And those of you who've read it, did you enjoy it? But I don't imagine that there are many, because I am not part of the zealously guarded xenophobic fantasy world community of BookTube. I'm not part of that community. I tried my hardest to make inroads in it. I tried my hardest to like videos and be friendly to the video makers. They don't have any interest. They don't have any interest in someone who doesn't read fantasy exclusively. They don't seem very vengeful about it. They don't seem like they're extremely xenophobic, which is kind of funny considering what they read. But not hostile. But it is a closed community. The only way that you get entrance into that community is to make a BookTube channel entirely devoted to fantasy and entirely uncritical, where you might have an assessing word to say about the 10th book in some series now and again, but you are mainly a booster. And I will never be that. I know that already. Maybe that might account for a lot of the weird bifurcated reaction that YouTube, just in general, BookTube has to me, is that I'm not a booster. I'm not a cheerleader. I will cheerlead when I love something, but I'm not going to enter that world. I wish I could, because I like all of their channels. I watch their channels. I add likes to their videos. I don't comment, because I know I have seen many times that when I watch a fantasy-only channel and I like the video, you should like the video as soon as you start watching. Someone's made this thing for free for you. And not every booktuber is like me, where they don't care about the external validations. I care about the personal validations. I'm in personal contact with so many of you. If something bothered that, I would worry about it. But the external validations of the videos, no. But plenty of people do care about those, and they've made this video for free for you. So you should like the video as soon as you start. But every once in a while, I will watch one of those Fantasy World BookTube channels, and I will like the video so much that I will leave a comment. I always try to stop myself, because it's embarrassing to look at. If I go back to that channel in a day, and there are 30 comments, every one of the comments will be liked. They'll have the little heart signal, and every one of the comments will have a response of some kind, some long, some short, except for mine, which will simply be ignored as if it didn't exist. It will be ignored as if it weren't there. I've seen that happen and often enough to know that is not a fluke. That is actually the only kind of response I'm going to get from the fantasy book world community. Unfortunately, I don't know what it is, but but they're the only ones that would, that are likely to have read this thing, and they're ironically the ones who won't be watching this channel. So it won't matter. But if any of you have read it, because this had crossover appeal, right? This was built for crossover appeal. So if any of you have read it, feel free to let me know what you thought of it. I kind of liked it. I definitely think it's worth a reread before I dig into the sequel. But anyway, one book, that's all, and a little bit of chatter. And a little bit of chatter. Maybe we'll do some more chatter tomorrow. Maybe I'll do another Last Week in BookTube video. Those seem to go over well. I feel a little guilty about doing them because it does feel like whoever you're leaving out pointed. I'm not leaving anybody out pointedly. I just don't want the video to be 5 hours long. That's all. I watch a lot of BookTube. But no one seems to care about that. And all the responses I get to those videos are positive. So maybe I'll do that, a little more chatting that way. Anyway, also I have an announcement video to make. I don't know if I'm going to make it today. I'll probably make it tomorrow. But that's it for today. That is the mail. Tiny bit of mail. I think the Bean and I are going to go stretch our legs out in the outside world and see what we can see. Let her scream at a whole bunch of innocent strangers to drop what they're doing, drop that garden spade, come over and fuss over her. Pet her, let her kiss your nose, tell her how pretty she is, etc., etc. We'll go out and about, and she will do that to 36 people, and she'll come back tired and happy. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this up for now, but I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.